me, Catherine. Today I'm here to talk about all the books that I've read throughout the month of September. If you've been watching my previous wrap-ups, you'll know that I haven't been having the best time reading-wise, so this month I'm happy to report that I managed to complete a total of 4 books throughout the month of September. The first of those books being 6-4 by Hideo Yokoyama, which is a Japanese crime novel set in 2002, and it follows our main character, who is a press officer. He's a police officer who serves as sort of the go-between between the press and the sort of main police departments sort of thing. And now this book was not quite what I was expecting. First of all, because it's not really a crime novel as you would know crime novels. Usually when you pick up a crime novel, you have a crime and you expect that to be the central focus throughout the entire novel, and 9 times out of 10 it is. 6-4 is not one of those 9 out of 10, because the main crime in this novel, which the police refer to as 6-4, took place 14 years previously to the time the book is set, and rather than it being the central focus, it's mentioned throughout, but the main focus is our main character, our press officer, and him basically trying to do his job whilst navigating the politics within the police department and also within the press as well. And I enjoyed it. It was interesting because I really like that sort of thing. I like all the politicking, and I also like to see inside the ins and outs of how things work. I don't know how much this holds true to how the actual Japanese police work, but I find it very interesting. But because of the nature of the story, because it does follow a lot of the inside politics and things like that, it is rather slow. It's not very action-packed, and it is quite a long book as well, and it is a slow read, but I didn't mind that. I rather enjoyed it, and it needed to be slow because you needed time to sort of process all of the information that you're receiving throughout, because you do receive quite a bit. So while I did enjoy it, I realised that because of the nature of this story and how it is told, it won't be for everybody, and also because it is Japanese, and if you've ever read Japanese fiction or watched Japanese film, then you'll probably notice that their endings are not all wrapped up, tied up with a nice bow on top and handed to the viewer or the reader. A lot of it is left up to your interpretation and how you sort of envision things to have continued from that point on, and 6-4 is no different. And I really enjoy those sorts of endings. Sometimes I like it to give it to me and tell me exactly what happens, but a lot of the time I like to be left to my own thoughts and things to try and to picture myself how things turned out. So yeah, so this is not what I was expecting, and again, like I said, I don't think this is going to be for everybody. I personally enjoyed it, and some of you might, but some of you also might not. I totally understand that, because it's not a crime novel as we know them. The second book was The Cuckoo's Calling by Robert Galbraith, aka J.K. Rowling. This follows our main character Cormoran Strike, who lost his leg to a landmine in Afghanistan and is now barely scraping by as a private investigator. Then one day a client arrives and asks him to look into the death of a supermodel who died a few months previously, and the police ruled it a suicide. But his client, who is the supermodel's brother, suspects foul play and would like Cormoran to look into it. So this throws Cormoran into the world of the rich and sometimes famous. Story-wise, overall, I really enjoyed this. It wasn't anything mind-blowing or anything particularly new, but I really enjoyed it anyway. My main issues with this were with the writing and sort of the descriptions. It really felt like there was a big emphasis on physical appearance, and all the characters you're introduced to are almost instantly categorised as attractive or unattractive, And I don't like to be told that just describe someone to me and then I'll decide whether I find them attractive myself or not, usually depending on their personality. But yeah, I just feel the writing was very judgmental, and I don't know if it was supposed to be that way, but I didn't like it, and it sort of got on my nerves, especially towards the end, especially when it came to his temporary secretary, Robin, who, obviously she's his secretary, so we do see her quite a bit, but every time we do see her, it seems to be Cormoran reminding us how attractive she is. I didn't enjoy it. I didn't enjoy that particular part. Like the crime bit and Cormoran going investigating and whatnot, that bit I really enjoyed. But the rest of it, I don't know. Like it was okay, but it just started to like really grate on me, and it just the writing felt really judgmental towards some of the side characters, and I didn't appreciate that. I'll still definitely want to continue because, like I said, the main story I did enjoy, so I feel like I would enjoy the rest of it. I just hope that the rest aren't as judgmental as this one was, because there was no need. There was absolutely no need. So now away from the crime and onto a bit of fantasy, the next book I read in September was The Queen of the Teeling by Erica Johansson, the first book in the Teeling trilogy. And this follows Kelsey, who on her 19th birthday is escorted from her home in the middle of the forest in the middle of nowhere to take her rightful place as the Queen of the Teeling, and this happens at the very beginning of the book. So this first installment especially, obviously I can't speak for the rest of the series because I haven't read it, is Kelsey obviously taking her throne and trying to navigate her way through all the politics and stuff, and sort of try to discover for herself what sort of queen she's going to be. Obviously there are obstacles in a way, they're not going to make it easy for her. There are people that would very much like to see her dead, and there's no doubt going to be lots of people who probably don't like the way that she'll be doing things. And it's all sort of following Kelsey as she makes her way through all of this and tries to better herself, and obviously we'll ultimately see at the end whether she is a great queen or not. We do get little snippets at the beginning of chapters that seem to be taken from essays and things from in the future, that sort of hint at what kind of ruler Kelsey turns out to be, and sort of little things that might happen in the future. Me personally, I'm really interested in watching Kelsey grow. She is only 19 years old, so some of the things that she does are very annoying. She does think she's better, she knows better than people twice her age, with much more experience than she does. But I like to see, I don't mind that so long as we see some growth, and so I'm hoping in the rest of the series we see Kelsey grow as a character, as a queen, and sort of find her place, and I'm really interested to see that. So I do plan to continue this series. However, although I don't know, I feel like a lot happens in this first installment, I also felt like at the same time nothing happened. This book came to an end, and I sort of went, oh, is that it? That there didn't seem to be any real, I don't know the way I'm looking for, like, because we had sort of, I don't know, I just, like, this stuff happened, and there was a bit of action and things, but at the same time, I feel like nothing ultimately happened, and it's a weird one. I didn't finish this dying to know what happens in the rest of the series. I'm just interested in Kelsey's growth as a person. And I sort of want to know, because this is one of those stories that's set, you think it's just a normal fantasy, but actually it's set in the future, our world future, where we've lost a lot of the technological advancements and things like that. We've lost a lot of that, so we've sort of reverted back to olden day times, but there is also magic and things, so I think it's still technically fantasy, like it reads like a fantasy. So it's weird. It's weird, and I want to know how that's going to play a part in the future, because I feel like if you're going to do this, then there's got to be a point to it, so I'll be interested to see that. So overall, I enjoyed it. Not the best, not one of my favourite reads, but definitely not one of the worst things I've read. And the final book I read in September was Midnight Never Come by Marie Brennan, the first book in the Onyx Court series. Now this takes place during the reign of Elizabeth I. So while Elizabeth is ruling England from the top, beneath London is another queen who is the ruler of the fairy court, and both the politics, fae and mortal politics, have sort of started to merge together and get involved with each other. And this story follows two courtiers, both struggling to gain favour with their respective royalty, and they discover a secret, and it's sort of up to them to figure out what to do with this secret and how they would use it to benefit both of their courts and whatnot. And overall, I really enjoy this. As I've mentioned in this video, and I think I've mentioned it previously as well, I really enjoy reading about politics things like in fiction. And this obviously is based around the politics, and I personally really enjoyed that. As a result of this mainly being politics, there's not a lot of action. So if you like your action, then maybe this one is not for you. But if you're interested in the politics side of fantasies and whatnot, then definitely give this one a go. I really enjoyed seeing the two sides, seeing the workings on top in Elizabethan England, and also seeing the workings underneath in the fairy court, and the differences and how one's been influencing the other and whatnot and such. And I just really enjoy reading things like that. The only thing I will say is, because I knew this was the first book in a series, I was expecting the storyline of this to continue throughout the rest of the series, but it doesn't. This book it could be a standalone on its own. It is a standalone story. It begins and finishes with Midnight Never Come. So because of that, I felt that the ending was a little bit rushed, because I wasn't expecting it to wrap up so quickly. So for me, it felt a little bit rushed, so I think I sort of brought that on myself. I should have expected it knowing, having read Marie Brennan's other series, or most of it anyway, the Memoir by Lady Trent series, which each one, although the main character is in all of them, each book is sort of a story by itself. So I guess I should have expected it. But because this is a standalone, I'm really interested to see what the rest of the series is. So it's definitely intrigued me. I'm wondering how the rest of the series is going to continue. But overall, I did really enjoy this. There's also a little bit of romance in it, if you're interested in romance. I quite enjoyed it, actually. Again, until the end when I felt everything was a bit rushed. But for the most part, I did quite enjoy it. And I just really enjoy Marie Brennan's writing, to be honest. So I think I was always going to like this. And I'm just sorry I had the wrong idea going into it with regards to it being the first book in a series. So that's it. Those are all the books that I read in September. Not a bad reading month when I think back to my past couple of wrap-ups that I've done, so I'm really chuffed with how much I've managed to read in September. So let me know in the comments below how your reading month went in September, and if you've read any of the books I've read and what your thoughts are on them. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will hopefully see you in another video. Bye!